Hey, sixth graders, how are you? Today we're going to be talking about the geography of ancient river societies. In particular, we're going to focus on the river society of Mesopotamia. In order to get there, we're going to have to explore the ideas of how the environment affects culture and how rivers affect society. So let's talk about lesson one, and let's go to our first objective. So today, we're going to explore the many ways how where we live impacts how we live. In other words, we're going to look at how the environment affects culture. The environment shapes the way that we live, how we dress, what we eat, everything. So let's get into it, shall we? What I'd like you to do before we start looking at some of the content is I want you to think right now about the area that you live in. What is it like outside? What is the land like? What are the water resources like? What's the weather like in this area? Is it crowded, or is there cities? Is it spread? Is the population spread out? What is it like? If you were to talk to somebody from the other side of the world and describe where you live, what are some words that you would use? Think about that for a second. And then let's think about how those things shape you. All those different factors, where you live, shape the way you dress. What you're wearing right now isn't probably what you'd be wearing if you're going and taking this class in Nome, Alaska, or if you're taking it in Yuma, Arizona. The way that you dress is definitely going to be significantly different based off of where you live. Leisure, what you do for fun, is shaped by where you live. Your chances are you're not going to become a really good skier if you live in a tropical area. Chances are you're not going to be outstanding at surfing if you live in the Arctic tundra. What you eat is shaped by where you live, especially if you look in before shipping and all the stuff that we have today. If I lived in an area in the world where bananas didn't grow, chances are before shipping I was never eating a banana. The food that I ate was shaped by, what food grew naturally in my area where I lived? What was the resources that were available? The home that we live in, the materials that the home are built out of, the style of the home is all shaped by your environment. What people do for work is shaped by their environment. You're not going to see too many steel workers working in a desert. But you're going to see a lot of steel workers and iron workers working in a city where they're building skyscrapers. How you travel, how you get around, all these things are shaped by where you live. You're not going to see people riding camels as a form of transportation in New Jersey. But if you lived in Saudi Arabia, you would see that very commonly. So all these factors within the environment where you live shape how you live. The environment affects culture. So if you live in where it's mountainous and there's colder temperatures, chances are that's going to shape how you dress, what you do for fun. But you wouldn't be doing snowboarding for fun if you lived in a desert like Death Valley. Chances are that's not going to be something that you are going to be doing in your free time, because you would die from being dressed like that in 120-degree temperatures. In fact, that you can't snowboard when there's no snow. But if you live in a desert area, maybe doing something like camel racing for fun. You're not going to, that's in order to have camel racing as a sport, you have to have, camels indigenous to the area. It's once again shapes where you live. You're not going to find something like that, camel racing, if you are on Miami Beach. It's not camels aren't indigenous to that area. So the environment will affect your culture, whereas you might be eating things like key lime pie if you live in Miami Beach. And if you lived in Death Valley, You're not going to be eating that because there wouldn't be key limes to make that. So living in an area where that type of lime grows means that shapes that type of cuisine. But you don't see key lime pie as part of the cuisine, let's say, in the Great Plains, where limes can't grow because of the hot temperatures. If I lived in Miami, chances are if I'm choosing a job, I'm not choosing a rodeo clown. But if I lived in Wyoming, where there's lots of rodeos, where there's wide open Great Plains, and lots of people work in the cattle industry, rodeo clowning and working at a rodeo is a huge job and huge industry in those areas. Am I going to have that same job as opportunity if I live in New York City? I don't think so. Are you going to have the need to build giant skyscrapers like the ones that you see here if you're living in Death Valley, or if you're living in the middle of Wyoming, or on the beach in the Florida Keys? And the other place that we looked at, no, you wouldn't. So again, the environment affects culture. So, to wrap up, for your exit card, I want you to write down 3 ways that your environment affects your culture. What are ways that how you live is shaped by where you live? I look forward to reading your answer on Google Classroom. Thanks so much.